personal experience what positively happens for kids who get these kind of opportunities that I had because I'm one of them. And the most satisfying thing to hear in all of these experiences is when a teacher will tell me about that boy in class who's never been able to concentrate, who suddenly showed an incredible sense of focus in a theater project, or the girl wrestling with her own identity who now has the words to express her own feelings because of some exercise she did in rehearsal working on a poem. And these kind of programs for young people are not just about whether they ultimately go into the arts. What it's really about is our society and how we're able to give young people the tools to communicate and be better storytellers. Because stories are what help us understand each other, translate the issues of our times. And I believe the tools and artists of theater and film can be enormously powerful in helping young people to develop collaborative skills, add to their confidence, and give them experiences they will need to succeed in any field. Now, as an example, there's a wonderful organization I was introduced to through DC United, the Major League Soccer team, that takes after-school soccer and combines it with poetry. And kids in 14 cities across the country love this unusual combination. I mean, who would have thought of those two things going together, soccer and poetry? But the kids love it, turns out to be innovative and inspiring, and I think we should encourage more programs like that across the country. Now, in our world, the warp speed evolution of technology has created many new ways for us to connect with our audiences by using the craft of storytelling. Just think about how much has changed over the course of time. What was a typical family night for many of us growing up 20 or 30 or 40 years ago? I mean, after a day of school or work, we'd go home, we'd kick off our shoes, the entire family would gather around the television set, we'd tune into a certain channel at a certain time, maybe watch a favorite movie like It's a Wonderful Life. And we all felt blessed to be living in such a modern age where we could share that kind of experience with our family in front of a 17-inch television set. Well, things are a little different today. It's far more likely that you will have already recorded It's a Wonderful Life on your DVR, gather the family around these 70-inch movie screen with surround sound that you've installed in what used to be the basement. You might have to ask your wife to stop Instagramming photos of the meal they just ordered over Seamless, while Grandma pins even more pictures of cats on her Pinterest page, and your son quietly clears his entire internet browser history. And your daughter tweets how boring It's a Wonderful Life is because it's not in 3D or even in color. Yes, it is indeed a more complicated, modern, and wonderful life, isn't it? For much of the last century, the way we get information is so different from how it is now. Over the last decade, society has evolved from primarily being consumers of data to being generators of data, even producers and broadcasters of data ourselves. For example, the average user on Facebook creates 90 pieces of content each month, which translates into 30 billion pieces across the platform every month. Almost 3,000 days worth of videos are uploaded on YouTube every 24 hours, which is more content in a month than the 3 major networks created in over 60 years of time. Try to get your head around that one for a second. And the platforms, as these platforms and channels have multiplied, so too has the torrent of content. It's like bridges and freeways with traffic. And as storytellers and content creators, our biggest challenges are, how do we break through the gridlock? How do we cut through the noise? So I believe it's no longer about having the richest studio or the biggest media spend or the loudest microphone. It is always about having the greatest story. Now, people have spoken a lot about the Netflix model of releasing each season of House of Cards all at once. It's been called a game-changing moment for the digital world. And this approach has proved several things. Most importantly, audiences want the control and the freedom. They want the freedom to binge. Do we have any bingers here today?